So let's talk about a movie that probably not too many of you have seen, but maybe some of you have. It's a horror classic, I guess you could say. It's a cult classic horror film called Bloodsucking Freaks. Now, I saw this movie on Joe Bob Briggs' Shudder show, The Last Drive-In. I'm a big fan of Joe Bob, and of course of Darcy the Mail Girl, who has really, really big tits. Now, that's not the only good thing about her, but it's the first thing you notice is that she has really big, fabulous, big fake titties, and I love them. And it's like the kind of fake titties that if you have my mind, I know some dudes are like, I don't like fake titties. Like, all right, go, well, get the fuck out of here then. Let me enjoy them. And then you just want to crawl in them, set up a little little nest, just live in the fake titties, peek your head out every now and then. What's up? Anything interesting going on? Nope. Okay, I'm going back in the titties. But she's great. She's great. And Joe Bob, of course, is great. I don't know how many of you guys, like I did, grew up on watching Monster Vision on TNT. But, Joe Bob's got a new show on Shudder that's kind of the same thing. You probably have heard of it if you're a Joe Bob fan, so whatever. But he shows some pretty crazy fucking movies. And Bloodsucking Freaks, I think, was the season 2 opener, along with the movie Chopping Mall. But Bloodsucking Freaks is definitely a way crazier and cooler movie, in my opinion anyway, than Chopping Mall. So this film contains depictions of sadistic tortures, well beyond what most films at the time and even today would depict. There's a lot of crazy shit in there. The film centers primarily around enslavement, torture, and murder, all sort of targeted towards women with a real misogynistic vibe throughout. Now, you might expect this sort of subject matter to receive like this really harrowing treatment, but as you might have guessed just from looking at this poster, it does not. It's very B-movie ish, sort of like this madcap, like farcical tone, very cheesy, very over the top, ridiculous performances, laughable special effects, just crazy shit going on throughout the entire fucking movie. Lots of fucking big titties, lots of asses. There's like, well, here, let me just read you my letterbox review. It's real short. So here's my letterbox review here on my Amazing Atheist account. I gave it 4 stars. Here's a list of about 2% of the crazy shit that's in this movie. Starved, naked, cannibal women in a cage. A woman's butt used as a dartboard. Multiple dismemberments. A sadistic little person whipping a girl's ass as she holds her own guillotine rope in her teeth. When she opens her mouth to cry out, off goes her head. The little person then proceeds to get head from the head. The movie contains white slavery, playing board games with human fingers, etc. Nearly every frame of this movie contains some manner of sadomasochistic, debaucherous weirdness that's bound to make almost everyone uncomfortable, but it's all done with such over-the-top silliness that it's hard to take any of it too seriously. Ultimately, this is a fun movie if you can get on its fucked up level. It's certainly not for everyone, but for just the right kind of weirdo, it's a one of a kind piece of trashy gold. So this is a crazy fucking movie, basically. If you didn't gather it from what I've said at this point, I don't know what else I could say to convey to you just how wild and crazy the fucking movie is. Now, you guys might know Lloyd Kaufman here. If you don't, then that's okay. I'll tell you about him. He's the co-founder of Troma, which is a low-budget film production and distribution company. Behind such gems as Tromeo and Juliet, Class of Nukem High, and probably most famously, The Toxic Avenger. And Troma owns the rights to the movie Bloodsucking Freaks. Now, Lloyd here had some interesting things to say about that particular film in one of his recent interviews on a podcast called Fractured Listens. I thought I'd play you guys a clip of like him sort of disowning it, but also sort of not disowning it. Still willing to make money off it while kind of talking shit about it. Here, let's just play it and you guys can kind of see what I'm talking about for yourselves.
However, in the course of 50 years, Michael Hers and I have evolved, and we see that Bloodsucking
Michael Hers is the other owner of Troma.
Freaks is a product of ignorance and insensitivity, and it's a horrible, terrible film. We would never take that film today. We'd never have anything to do with it. But it's extremely popular. And I think today the Me Too movement, or the equivalent of the feminist movement of the 70s and 80s, who did picket the movie a lot, and we didn't get it. We get it now, but it's too late for us to get it because now Bloodsucking Freaks is such an old thing that the feminists got a kick out of it. It's got a lot of female fans now, but we should not have taken it on. I regret that. And but it's a very popular Troma movie, and we've just signed 2 licensing deals. I think T-shirts and.
Yeah, I love it, dude. I love it. Oh, yeah, it's a real bad, real insensitive movie, and, but, we did it, and, it's real popular now, and so we're putting out some T-shirts and some other stuff. We signed some licensing deals, and we're still selling it. It's super popular, but, but today, if it came new to us now, no way would we even touch that, but, the cat's out of the bag. The feminists like it now. It's almost kitsch to them. I love it, dude. I love this, speaking out of both sides of your mouth bullshit. Like, oh, it's horrible. Oh, isn't it awful? Oh, isn't it terrible? We're making money off it, and that's cool because, we've already done it, I love Lloyd Kaufman, but this is so fucking hypocritical. And the hypocrisy goes well beyond him. I'm not here to fucking belittle the hypocrisy of fucking Lloyd Kaufman here, because who really gives a fuck? Obviously, the stuff that he's saying out of one side of his mouth is just bullshit. We wouldn't do that today, and it's awful, and it's insensitive. Bullshit. That's all nonsense. He doesn't believe a fucking word of that. Because if he truly believed that, he wouldn't be doing the fucking T-shirt deal and the whatever the other licensing deals are and continuing to make money off the fucking movie. He'd just be like, we shall lock it away in a vault, and never again shall this horrible film see the light of day. That's if he actually believed that shit, that's what the reaction would be. But it's not that. They just want to make money off it, but they also want to fucking cover their ass by saying it's terrible, it's an awful film, and anybody who likes it is very naughty, very bad. Oh, you're a horrible person. You know what I mean? But I'm so blown away because when I saw this on Joe Bob, it's like everybody there. From Joe Bob was there, Darcy was there, Chris Jericho was there, and they were all kind of okay. Well, I'll give Darcy credit. Joe Bob, it was clear that he liked the movie, but he fucking also felt the need to apologize for them. Oh, well, it's horrible and oh, it's disgusting, but still kind of fun to watch. Chris Jericho was there, and he's like, oh, it's awful, it's terrible, it's wrong. But, it's a fun movie, man. It's real fun. Everyone felt the need, they had to, go through this litany of apology for liking this movie before they admitted they liked it. I will give Darcy credit. Darcy was just like, I straight up like this movie. And, in fact, it makes me kind of horny. And they're like, wow, okay. She didn't fucking go with this big litany of oh, well, I feel like I have to fucking make excuses for why I like it or what the fuck ever. But here's the thing that blows my fucking mind, okay? Here's where I get on the hypocrisy of everybody. Not just Lloyd Kaufman or Joe Bob Briggs or any of these other people that watch this fucking Bloodsucking Freaks movie and feel like they need to apologize for fucking liking it. And that's these fucking Saw movies. Okay? What the fuck? It's ridiculous. It's fucking absurd. These Saw movies contain way more blood, way more brutality, way more torture, and it's way more realistic. Unlike everything that happens in Bloodsucking Freaks is so cheesy and so fucking ridiculously fake that you could never possibly for a second believe it's actually happening. It's total cheese. The Saw movies, the violence depicted in those things, the torture, the malevolence and cruelty and total fucking just callousness towards human suffering is all depicted in like hyper realistic ways. You know, the blood, the gore, the psychological trauma, every fucking bit of it is just, it's focused on, and it's so and not only that, Bloodsucking Freaks, like in the end, the villains get their comeuppance. Oh no, they were destroyed by their own evil. You know, the cannibal women that they were keeping locked up in the cage escape and rip them apart. That'll show those fucking weirdos. But in fucking the Saw movies, Jigsaw is like looked at almost like he's like this chaotic good character. Like there's like there's like a good bit of like moral ambiguity, attempted moral ambiguity around Jigsaw as a character. Oh, because, you know, he doesn't really kill people himself. He just puts them in situations where they die. But he always gives them a chance, except for the times when he doesn't. You know, and there's a great review that Your Movie Sucks, Adam from YMS did in 2 parts back in 2012, where this is one of the things that he delves into in those reviews. So if you want like a deeper, more in-depth explanation of what I'm talking about with this like moral ambiguity that the movies try to create around Jigsaw as a fucking character and his cruelty and his sadism and his torture, then you could just watch his review because it'll explain it in far more detail than I'm willing to go into in a fucking live stream. But the main difference, I mean, like, let's just think about this side-by-side comparison. Both films contain depictions of brutality and torture and sadism. The key difference is that Saw does it way more realistically, way more brutally, and actually has the fucking nerve at the end of that to say like, well, you know, Jigsaw, he ain't too bad of a guy if you really think about it. His heart's in the right place. So you would think that would make, oh, wow, Saw is so much worse of a movie. But no, because there's another difference, and that's that in Bloodsucking Freaks, the motives of the torturers are sexual in nature. They get off on it. And because of that fact alone, even though in every other way Saw is way worse, that fact alone and the squickiness and the ickiness in the American mentality about sex, that alone leads it to be Bloodsucking Freaks is this horrible movie that everyone has to apologize for liking. And it's obscure, and no one's fucking seen it, and those who have seen it feel the need to fucking go through this litany of reasons why they shouldn't like it before they finally tell you that they do. And then Saw it played in every fucking multiplex across America. You could see it at your fucking small town, little fucking rinky-dink shithole fucking theater with the bad fucking PA system and the popcorn that hasn't been fucking made fresh for 3 weeks. You can go see it in that fucking shithole in small town America, and people are just like, oh, you seen the latest Saw? That's some crazy shit. Bunch of fucking hypocrites. Bunch of fucking disgusting fucking bullshit. Chelsea says, I don't think Saw is way worse. They're roughly the same. No, they're not. It's not even close. Maybe the first Saw. But if you're talking about the entirety of the Saw trilogy, like, people are literally, like, ripped apart in those movies. Like, people undergo massive fucking quantities of physical, psychological torture and some of the most brutal kills ever committed to film. And it played in multiplexes across America. And, you know, I mean, I've gone into the fucking shit. It's just total fucking hypocrisy. And it brings me to this point about censorship. Because, let's see. Let me make sure I'm in the right place here. So the MPAA, the Motion Picture Association of America, actually did censor Bloodsucking Freaks. And the way they censored Bloodsucking Freaks is they flat out refused to rate the film. Not they gave it an X rating or an NC-17 rating or whatever the fucking death sentence rating for movies that were too crazy was back in the day. Because if you had an X rating back in the day, you could not show your movie in most theaters. If you have an NC-17 rating today, you can't show your movie in most theaters. They wouldn't even do that to it. They flat out refused to rate the fucking movie. Just straight up refused to rate it. They would not even look at it. And by the way, interestingly enough, tying back to that WAP acronym, it was the organization Women Against Pornography that convinced them not to rate the fucking film. So Trauma, and here's where we can actually give Lloyd Kaufman a huge fucking dose of credit. Lloyd Kaufman of Trauma actually cut the film down to an R-rated version, got the R rating from the MPAA. He's like, look, we cut all the nasty stuff out. Here's an R-rated version of the movie. They gave it the R rating, and then he proceeded to send the unrated cut out to theaters across America. And just said, like, this is the R-rated cut, basically. Which is he got sued by the MPAA and stuff, and eventually had to settle that, I guess. But he basically totally stood up to the censors and fought for this film. It's kind of a shame that nowadays he has to go through this rigmarole of like, oh, it's insensitive, and oh no, it's bad and it's misguided and whatever the fuck. Like, as if the movie is some sort of, like, moral exemplar that anyone's looking to for fucking guidance or some shit. But he fucking subverted the MPAA. And let's not fucking mince words about the fucking MPAA here. The MPAA is a censorship organization. It is not... it's not framed that way. It's framed as like, oh, this is to help parents make, good decisions for what kind of movies their kids can watch. That's bullshit. It is a censorship organization. And this story, better than most, fucking proves it. It's been shown that they censor art based on a socially conservative agenda. If they think something goes too far, they can slap an NC-17 rating on it, and it becomes very difficult for the film to make money. It becomes, as that comment over That Way says, the kiss of death for a fucking film. So if they think something's gone too far, slap it with an NC-17, and it cannot make its fucking money back, or it will struggle mightily to do so. So to put it in terms that maybe YouTubers can understand a little better, it's like the MPAA has the power to demonetize filmmakers, to say, oh, we don't like what you've made, so you can't make money off of it. So there's a movie that's all about this that I recommend anybody check out. It's called This Film Is Not Yet Rated. And this is a movie, and I'll just read a little bit from the Wikipedia here. The project discusses disparities the filmmaker sees in ratings and feedback between Hollywood and independent films. So let's go into a little bit about what that means. So when you talk about feedback, so if you're an independent filmmaker and you submit a film to the MPAA, they'll say, this is rated NC-17 or this is rated R. And maybe you're going for a PG-13 or whatever. You want to get a different rating. And so you ask them, like, what can I change? What can I change about this to get the rating I'm looking for? Like, what part made you do this? What part made you give it the R? Or what part made you give it the NC-17? If you're an independent filmmaker, the MPAA basically looks at you and says, we can't tell you that. We can't tell you because if we did that, then we'd be a censorship organization, which we cannot do because we're not meant to be that. Okay? That's their line of bullshit in that scenario. But if you're a major studio, they will tell you exactly what you need to change to get the rating you're looking for. They will tell you exactly what you need to do to get the rating you're looking for. So it puts independent filmmakers and big studios on uneven playing fields. So between homosexual and heterosexual sexual situations. So basically, if there's a gay love scene or a straight love scene that show about the same amount of stuff, that are like the same level of graphic, maybe the straight sex scene gets a PG-13 if there's no nip or whatever, and the gay one gets an R. Or if they're more explicit sex scenes, maybe the straight sex scene gets an R and the gay sex scene gets a fucking NC-17, which is a kiss of death for the fucking movie. Between male and female sexual depictions, so like if a dude's jerking off in the movie, oh, that's funny. It gets a fucking, if it's shot from this level up, maybe it gets a PG-13. But if a woman was doing the same fucking masturbatory scene, it'd be an R. Or maybe if it explicitly shows some masturbation, maybe the male one gets a fucking R and the female one gets a NC-17. And of course, the biggest one, the biggest fucking hypocrisy of all that I just got into is between violence and sexual content. I mean, like Lord of the Rings, fucking chop that orc's head off, fucking massive battles, violence on a fucking epic scale. Violence is the solution. Violence is the answer. Brutality, cruelty, fucking chopping people up, slicing through them like fucking nothing. Oh, there was a titty. R. It's R. It's R now. Well, what about just the violence and horrible and, you know, people getting maimed and mutilated? Oh, that's PG-13. PG-13, that's acceptable. But a titty, no, that's an R rating. That's an R rating now. And of course, watch this movie. Look at the fucking hypocrisy. It's fucking crazy. And this movie also makes the case that this is just a fucking it makes the case that this is a censorship organization. It doesn't even apply by its own standards. And none of us, you might notice that you and I, we don't have any say in how the MPAA rates films. You know, do my standards matter to the MPAA? Do I get any feedback to them? Do I even know who the fuck's on their board? I don't know any of that shit. Neither do you. Yet they get to fucking rate films, and they get to fucking decide to some extent what films are available for your fucking consumption. And of course, this is not the only ratings board that exists like this. There's ones for music, there's ones for video games, there's ones for all sorts of different artistic endeavors, a bunch of censorship organizations all across America controlling the fucking art that we're allowed to consume, that we're allowed to see, because they know better than we do. Fuck that. It's bullshit. Fuck censorship. Yeah, that's pretty much my stand on that.
Become a patron for Pessimist Productions. Pledge $5, $10, or anything in between or more for bonus content from the amazing atheist and his crew. Don't miss out.